Hello everybody and welcome to another Mythical Mountain Math movie production where you get to play the part of the therapist and solve all of math's problems. Today we're going to be covering the last section in chapter 1 of the 6th grade book. It's on page 30. We're going to be talking about using formulas in order to solve problems. So turn the page there and let's get started. Couple of words that you need to write down in your book, your notebook, is number one, formula. This is going to be an equation that tells you how one variable relates to one or more other variables. And I'll explain what I mean and give you an example of one here in the upcoming example. And a how-to is the second part. To solve a formula, you're going to find the value of a variable by substituting numbers for the other variables. Right now, this is a lot of words. I know, I get it, it's going to be tough. But here's what I want you to know. In order to find for a variable or a letter, you're going to put numbers in for other letters. I think it's best if we just jump in and I show you what I mean here. So let's go ahead and let's start with an example. Here is the example from your book. The formula m equals 20 minus a. Let me pause for a second. Here is your first example of a formula. In a formula, you're going to have letters, and you're also going to have at times numbers. Doesn't necessarily have to have numbers, but you will have letters or variables. When anybody ever says a variable, they're talking about a letter. And these are how they relate to each other. So m is going to be the same as 220 minus a. The formula m equals 220 minus a gives a person's maximum heart rate m. So let's pause here for a second, and I put this in blue. A person's maximum heart rate m. So this right here, this m, is going to stand for a person's maximum heart rate. Let's keep reading. Where a is the person's age in years. So this A is how old the person is. M stands for their maximum heart rate, and A is for how old they are. It says that Malcolm is 12 years old. His uncle is 40 years old. What is the difference between their maximum heart rates? In order to find their difference in their maximum heart rates, we're going to have to find both of their heart rates, aren't we? So let's start first with Malcolm's. Let's use our formula. We're looking for their maximum heart rate, and that's m, but we don't know that yet. So I'm just going to put m. That stands for their maximum heart rate. The 220 never changes. That's part of the formula. Now, what do you think I'm going to put into, what am I going to substitute for a? Remember what a stands for? A is the person's age in years. Malcolm is 12 years old. So what do you think that we should put in for A if we're solving for Malcolm's maximum heart rate? Hopefully you said 12 because he's 12 years old, and A is the person's age in years. So we're going to substitute the A, and instead of the A, we're going to make it 12. Now, all we have to do is do 220 minus 12. 220 minus 12, you can do it on your paper, if you can do it in your head, even better, is going to be 208. So Malcolm's maximum heart rate is 208. You know you're done when you have a variable, an equal sign, and then a number, you're finished. Let's do his uncle's. We use the same formula. M equals 220 minus, what are we going to use for the A in this problem? Now, because we're solving for his uncle's maximum heart rate, we have to use his uncle's age. In this case, he is 40 years old. So A is going to be 40. 220 minus 40 leaves us with a maximum heart rate of 180. Maybe you asked the question, how do you know what his maximum heart rate is? Remember, it says up here in the problem, a person's maximum heart rate, M. So M is equal to 180. We're not done yet. We have Malcolm's maximum heart rate and we have his uncle's maximum heart rate, but we need the difference between their maximum heart rates. When you read this, what operation are we supposed to use when you're finding the difference? You're supposed to be using subtraction. So since we have to use subtraction, we need to subtract these two, which you can see I've already done it here. I took 208, and from that I subtracted 180. 208 minus 180, and so the difference between their maximum heart rates is 28, and then you're done. Here's one for you to try on your own. What is the difference between maximum heart rates of Malcolm and his grandma, who is 85 years old? Remember, your formula that you're always going to use for this particular problem is M equals 220 minus A. And you don't have to find Malcolm's again. Malcolm's was 208. So now all you have to do is find his grandma's maximum heart rate and then find the difference between those two. So pause it here, work it out, and unpause it when you think you have the answer. Okay, let's see what you did here. To find grandma's maximum heart rate, you use the same formula. M is going to be equal to 220, but instead of A, you're going to substitute grandma's age, because A stands for the age of a person. And grandma was 85 years old. And so grandma's maximum heart rate was 220 minus 85, or 135. But don't forget you're still not done, and you're still not done because you need to find the difference between the maximum heart rates of Malcolm and of his grandma. So you're going to take Malcolm's heart rate, and then you need to find the difference of that and his grandma's. So Malcolm's was 208, and his grandma's was 135, and the difference means you subtract, and when you subtract, you get 73, and that will be your answer. Here's another formula. This formula is to find the area of a rectangle or a square. And the formula is A equals B times H. A stands for area, B stands for the base, and H stands for the height. So area equals base times height. To solve, it says find the area, so we're looking for A. We don't know what A is quite yet, but to solve, we're going to substitute numbers for our B and for our H. What number do you think that will substitute for B? You should substitute 14 for B because it's the base of the rectangle. And for the height, what number should you substitute for the H? Hopefully you said the 7. The only thing that you have left to do then is to actually multiply 14 times 7. And when you do, you get the area is 98. Don't forget, you have to put the units, and it's squared. We'll go over this a little bit. If you have questions, whenever you're dealing with units of measurement, feet, centimeters, yards, meters, whatever it might be, you always put your answer, and you always put the unit, 98 feet, 98 meters, 98 yards, whatever was in the problem. And when it's area, you put the squared at the end of it. We'll go over that a little bit later. Here's one for you to try. Again, you need to find the area, and you can use the same formula that you used in the previous problem. A equals B times H. So pause the video, and when you're done, unpause. All right, let's see how you did. You need to find the area. We don't know it. We do know the base, so I'm going to substitute 12 in for the B. And we do know the height, so I'm going to substitute the 6 in for the H. And then all I have to do is multiply, and I get A equals 72. Remember, because we have feet, we need to put feet. And because we found the area, we need to put squared. And then I'm done. All right, here you're looking at a little bit more complicated formula. This particular one has to do with finding the area of a trapezoid. In the book, you'll notice in example number 3, it makes Arkansas to be a trapezoid. It wants you to do this. It wants you to use this formula, A equals H times little b plus big B divided by 2. So this part right here, I don't have a division sign like you're used to seeing, so this slash, we're going to use that for divided by 2. So area of a trapezoid equals H times little b plus big B divided by 2. Mississippi, it says, this is letter B, example 3. Mississippi has an area of about 46,907 square miles. Is the area of Arkansas greater than or less than the area of Mississippi? So we need to find the area of Arkansas. To do that, we're going to substitute what we know into our formula. Do we know the A? No, because we're looking for the formula. We're looking for the area. Do we know the height? Do we know the H? Yes, we do. We know the H, and we're going to substitute the H, and in its place, we're going to write 230. Do we know little b? We sure do. Little b is 190. We need to add that to big B. Do we know what big B is? We do. Big B is 260. And then we got to divide all of that by 2. Okay? Let's do order of operations. Remember that? That's going to come in handy. We have to do what's in the parentheses first. So let's do 190 plus 260. That's the first thing we're going to do. 190 plus 260. When you do that, what do you get? If you looked at your book, it'll tell you. You get 450 divided by 2. Now, following the order of expressions, or not the order of expressions, the order of operations, excuse me. After parentheses, do I have any exponents? No. Do I have any multiplication or division? I do. I have both. I have 230 times 450, and then I have divided by 2. So when you have multiplication and division, do you know how you tell which one you do first? You work left to right. So you start on the left and you go to the right. So in this case, we have 230 times 450. We're going to do that first. And here's where a calculator or a long piece of paper is going to come in handy for you. 230 times 450 is 103,500. And then all we have left to do is to divide that by 2. So 103,500 divided by 2, put that into your calculator, and you'll get 51,750 square miles. So remember, this is miles squared. Now look at your book. It says that Mississippi has an area of 46,907 square miles. So is the area of Arkansas greater or less than the area of Mississippi? Well, look at what we found. The area of Arkansas is 51,750. Is that greater than or less than the area of Mississippi? That's greater than. So Arkansas has a bigger square area than Mississippi does. Here's the last example. This is my bad attempt at drawing Nevada. Use the same formula, use the same steps to see what the square mileage is of Nevada. On pause it, we need to get the right answer. All right, let's see how you did. What I would do, the first thing is I would write the formula. I do not know the A, so I'm going to leave that there. Do I know the H? Yes, I do. I'm going to put that in. Do I know little b? Yes, I do. It's 200. Do I know big B? Yes, that's 500. And the rest of that is just divided by 2. Now you need to do parentheses first. So 200 plus 300, that's going to be 700. That's just what's in the parentheses. Here's where I have multiplication and division. So 310 times 700 and divide that by 2. 310 times 700, I'm going to use my calculator, I'll tell you that right now. You're going to have 217,000. Then you're going to divide that by 2. And when you divide that by 2, you'll get 108,500. And the problem asks how much larger is the area of Nevada than of Arkansas. So they threw you a little trick. All right, and it says how much larger is Nevada than Arkansas. So you got to find the difference between those two. Up here, this is Nevada, and this is Arkansas. And I didn't tell you that because I wanted you to read the instructions for yourself. Because on tests and on quizzes and anything you're going to have to do, you're going to have to read those instructions. And I'd rather you learn that lesson here on a video where it doesn't really matter much. You're not being penalized for it. But get in the habit of reading those instructions and figuring out what they're wanting you to solve for. So I need to find the difference. So I'm just going to subtract these numbers real quick. And I still do it the same way that I was taught way back when I learned how to subtract. So if this isn't your way, that's okay. 9 minus 5 is 4. 9 minus 7 is 2. 7 minus 1 is 6. I can't do 0 minus 5, so I'm going to borrow, and there we go. I get 56,240. So that's how much bigger Nevada is than Arkansas. That wraps up this whole chapter. I hope that you understood it and that it makes sense. Please don't hesitate to ask questions, and I'll leave you with the corny joke. Why does the seagull fly over the sea? The answer to that would be because if you flew over the bay, we would have to call him a bagel. I like that. That's one of my favorites. Anyway, I hope you learned something. I hope it made sense. We'll see you next time, and remember, you're special and God loves you.